everybody. Welcome back to For Comic Sake. I am J.Crager, your host. It is Monday, October 28th, 2024. Today, let's talk about the many hats that artists wear in the comic book industry. You know, we often think of comic book artists as just illustrators, but in reality, there's so much more than that. A great artist isn't just putting pencil to paper, they're storytelling. They're storytellers, designers, sometimes even writers. They're visionaries who breathe life into characters and worlds, bringing nuance that a script alone could never capture, from capturing the mood of the scene to designing the characters that readers can recognize instantly in every line. Every shadow and every color choice is deliberate. Artists also juggle between being project managers and problem solvers. They need to keep timelines, work with writers and editors, adapt to feedback, and balance the visual pacing of the story. It's about creating something seamless and immersive so we, the readers, stay glued to the page. So next time you read a comic book, take a moment to appreciate the multitasking powerhouse behind the art, because for comic artists, wearing multiple hats isn't just part of the job. It's the magic that brings comics to life. How is everybody doing today? I appreciate all of you coming out. Tonight we have a very special guest. But first, I'm going to bring in my fabulous co-host and the man with the plan, William Perdomo.
And you, how correct you are. You guys are the lens, you're the camera, you're the film that runs through the camera of us writers. So we need you. We don't get anything on screen without you.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we
your artist
try.
Well. Choose
You
your
should.
artist well.
You should. You shouldn't pick some weirdo who, just can't do it. So you should pick your artist well. That is true.
Indeed.
So
speaking of
speaking of that, we're bringing in a comic veteran who's been in the industry for, 30 years probably. He started with Chris Buccello back on Shade the Changing Man, moving his way through Tap Cow Comics, going on to help round out Fathom with Michael Turner, and then heading on to working with Danny Meeke later on with Marvel, and doing many, many things in between, one with Chaos Comics and a couple of other things. So tonight we have the very talented, very multi-hat wearing artist Marco Madman Galley. Oh, hold on. I'm just kicking people. I'm just kicking people now, aren't I? Here we go. Here's Marco.
Hey guys. How's everybody?
Hey, how you doing, Marco? Sorry about that.
Hey, I'm doing good. Good to be on.
Yeah, man, we're good to have you again. Let's see. Craig Zalo, he says, hey, all, just want to pop in and say hi. Got an early morning. Still wanted to watch a bit. Well, we appreciate it, man. I still have your art. I'm going to be sending it out hopefully here soon. I'm just getting all my ducks in a row, and I'll be sending out a couple of pieces to you, Mr. Craig. Excellent. Well, I'm glad to have you, Marco. This is the second time we've had you on the show. The first time, because Will wasn't able to be here, I just kind of fucked off for like an hour and a half.
We had a musical episode, right?
We did. We just went through all the music basically from, what was it? Pump Up the Volume.
Yeah.
So,
I wish I could have been there, because that's a great movie, but also I was fighting with the Deer Woman that night, the actual inspiration for the Deer Woman. And meet her.
Yes.
And I was so mad that I couldn't come on and entertain you guys.
Oh, yeah.
But hey,
you weren't in a good
now.
mood. Yeah, we're here now. So, and it's all time to have fun. Hit that like, ring that bell, caress the balls.
Thank you.
Exactly.
And Craig says your art posts have been killing it. Indeed, they have.
I appreciate it, man. It's slow going on my end currently, but I'm trying to get back into, gear and keep things rolling. So it's
Will, go ahead. Sorry, buddy.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to give Will some kudos for helping out with his mom and raising a child.
All by himself.
That's all by yourself, and I think that's like a super noble thing to do, man. And I know it's hard sometimes, and I know you probably don't get out of there as often as you'd like, but kudos to you, my friend.
Well, thank you, Marco. I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah,
special. It's not something I talk about very often, but
it's true.
It's nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Will gets special God brownie points for doing the right thing in life.
This is my special corner. Like, I'm kind of a minimalist. There's nothing in this house, but this is the most stuff I own is in this little corner here. So don't think I'm this pretentious guy that has like a collection room in my whole home. It's literally just this corner.
Right. That's
fair.
That's amazing.
All the goods.
Well, it's amazing that you can just keep it like that, man. If you walked into my house, dude, what you see is what you get. So what you can see here currently is how much stuff I have in my place.
Yeah, like your brain vomited out.
Like, it's so much. It's so much. So
it's like an LA gas station after, a Pantera concert.
Exactly. I can tell you this, that if there was an apocalypse and I was forced to do crafts for the rest of my life, I would be okay. I'd be okay forever till the end of time. So the only thing I recently had to go buy were erasers. Literally just erasers. I ran out of erasers after like 3 years.
So it's like your whole bedroom or your whole office, like the bottom of an old lady's purse. You like rummage in there, you're going to find something.
Yeah, ask me to find anything. Just name something weird, and I bet you I can reach and grab it and find it.
I bet you. Probably like, oh, he's got those like number 14 pencils I like was fighting with someone on eBay for.
Exactly. Yeah, I have all of it.
Do you have any image artboards?
Marco does.
I do.
And
I still have a few.
Yeah, he's like 20 minutes from me. I know Marco does, so he's an extension of me. So yes, I can get some artboards.
Speaking of that, how did you guys get married? Get married artistically? Because you guys are kind of a unit. So how did that happen?
True. You go ahead, Marco.
I was just going to say I first met Jay when I was doing assistant work with Joe Weems, because Jay and Joe met each other at a local, comic convention. Mm-hmm. And I think that was around 95, I want to say. 95, right, Jay? 94, 95? 95.
I think it was somewhere around there. So, yeah. I met Weems in 93. So, yeah.
So he had a character named Killian, and you needed some inking, and he had this great double-page spread, and I was like, ooh, can I ink that? And that was like our first collaboration together. And then
before that, you inked the dragon piece, and then you did
the
double-page spread. So
you know what, dude? I forgot about the dragon piece because I hadn't seen that in a while.
I have both of them. So nice. Yeah, those are within the double-page spread. I could easily get and show. Would not be an issue. We met 25 years ago through Weems. And then we just started, I needed an inker. At the time I wasn't. So at the time when we drew comics, all pencilers needed inkers. Okay. Like there were very few pencilers that ink their own work.
And were you guys together at what place? Is this at Top Cow?
No, this is
who was when no, it would have been, when was it? You would know better.
Was it X the apartment, the X apartments, Joe's? Basically it was at Joe's.
Yeah, that would have been the X apartments. So he's still been doing Harris work then?
Yeah, he was doing Harris, and he was just starting to get some image work. And then he moved to the Woodstream. And then when we went to Huntington Beach, that's when we were fully into Top Cow. It was around 90. I want to say like 96. Yeah,
And
96 is when he was.
You two together.
Excuse me,
Jason and I.
Yeah, like how you seem like you guys went together to Top Cow, or one of you got the job and another one got the job. Like how did that one? How'd you guys make that leap from Harris?
Well, so he had been. So as you guys know, I was a junkie at the time, so I wasn't really kind of working regularly. So I was bouncing back and forth doing any type of like background work, anything extra work I could do, just assistant work to just kind of keep my name in everything. Okay. So how I ended up working at Top Cow was a little later on. And it came separately. So I think Marco was hired at Top Cow through Weems in the beginning, and then didn't you end up doing a few things here or there for them exclusively at some point? And then,
like I would go ahead. I just was basically a fill-in inker. Like if they needed something done, I'd get a couple of pages here and there. I didn't really do a full book myself. It's usually 90% of everything that Weems did at Top Cow, I probably touched in some way, either spotted or, did backgrounds or bordered.
Right. So he was doing all that, and he was essentially Weems's full-time assistant as I was off and essentially getting high and being a dumbass. So that, which is true. Like that's the fact of it. So what ended up happening is right around the time I had my second child, sorry, he was probably 1. I miraculously somehow got hired at Top Cow, and it was essentially getting a phone call out of nowhere where it was like, hey, and it was Finch who did it. He goes, I want you to come down here, meet me on such and such a day, and we're going to give you a test to see if you can do this. So I went up to Top Cow. I come in, I chat with everybody. I chat with Mike Turner. I chat with Benitez. I chat with whomever. Finch takes me into another room and he says, hey, I want you to draw a room for me. And I want you to put this, this, and this in it. And I want to see how you do it. So I just kind of sat there for, half an hour and drew a room. And he went, that's not bad. He goes, I just want you to come in and do a few little things on the side of it, just add dimension. And he goes, and if you do that, you should be fine. And then he goes, okay, here's the first script. And I was hired at Top Cow at that point. But
what was the first script, by the way?
I think it was Darkness 23.
I remember it was Darkness.
Yeah. What was that, Will?
Was Joe on the book by then?
Joe had inked a couple of Benitez things before then, while Benitez was doing the book.
When Joe, was he drawing it at the time?
That was before. No, Joe Benitez had been drawing it a couple of years beforehand, if I recall.
Okay. It wasn't Dale yet, was it?
No. Dale didn't come for another year or two. Okay. So after I left. But yeah, it was one of those things where I hung around long enough and people knew me there. Joe, because he ran a studio from his house, regularly would have 2 or 3 or 4 inkers or pencilers like at his house. So I could literally go over to Weems's house and be like, there's Brandon Peterson, there's, Bat, there's whomever. Okay. Like it could just be anybody. Mike Turner's had been there before, like working on stuff. So it was.
So Weems was almost like an extension office of Top Cow.
Yeah. He was like the Orange County office.
Kind of.
Like
yeah.
Wizard North type of thing.
Yeah.
And then we'd get other guys from Image, like J.J. Kirby would come up.
Yeah, he's cool. I like that guy.
Wildstorm. Dan Frago would come by every once in a while.
Yeah, the Fragaboom.
Danny came by a couple of times to ink.
Yep, Danny.
Yeah.
And then once a year, Weems would throw a huge Halloween party and invite everybody from the industry. So every once in a while, we would get to see Travis Charest or just whomever, because they would show up at this fucking party, man, and we'd have a great time. His parties were legendary. So they were called
like a highlight of everybody's season.
Yeah, they were called Halloweens, and he made sure to do them on like the weekend so everybody could get fucked up. And yeah, we had a really good time. So he did them for years and years and years and years. And he would always invite. Huh?
Where was he? Like, what was his place?
It was in Huntington Beach. Most of the big parties were all in HB. Yeah.
But did he have an apartment or a house? What would he?
It was a condo.
Yeah,
it was a condo. And it was such a big party. You know how gnarly, parties are. You can determine how gnarly a party is going to be when you walk into the party and somebody has literally taken cardboard boxes and cut them up so that they cover the entire floor of your house. Okay, you're going to have a party.
So that you wouldn't, it would help with the spillage.
Any spillage, anything, anybody acting up, anything.
Any fluids.
Okay? Anything. And
if Crager's showing up, teeth and blood and
yeah, maybe. Tell Jesus, I can hear your daughter sounding like she murdered someone.
Here, let me go close the door. I'll be right back.
Go tell Aurora to shut up.
Okay, give me a second.
Okay.
So Crager, what are you drawing tonight? What's on the board?
I was gonna just draw a quick Witchblade, so it's probably what I'm gonna do. So
sorry about that.
I'm gonna flip the screen here. Hold on, guys. Let me show my other screen.
Speaking of Witchblade, what did you do with Fathom, Marco?
Just background inking for Joe. Backgrounds, tech, like anything that needed a ruler or an ellipse or spotting. I basically cut my teeth. He taught me basically how to draw. I mean, how to ink. I was a brush inker beforehand, and he's like, "Well, we got to do the quill because we get sharper lines that way." That's a nice piece, Jay.
The quill.
It was torture for him to do that armor.
I hate the armor. I hate it.
Came out good. Yeah. So like this foreign metal thing became my friend, and to the point where toward the end of me helping Joe, like I'd basically rule things off. I wouldn't even use repeated graphs sometimes. Yeah, it was good learning. And then, like I said, then I got to hang out too with, Bat. Bat would be there and they'd pick up his inking techniques, and it was good times, man. It really was.
Mr. Slick Inks.
Mr. Glitch, it's not Witchblade. That one's the commission. Witcher. Did he say Witchblade? He said Witchblade, but because we're talking about Top Cow, so he probably thinks it's a Witchblade.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw Witchblade right now.
So here we go. Yeah. So where were we? I'm sorry, I got lost because sorry.
You were asking me what I said. You were just asking me what I did. So just basically,
yes.
Yeah, so all the backgrounds, basically for Weems. What's up, Mona? Can you hear my cat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because at the time, that was the height of Michael Turner's let's say hotness. He was red hot at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. That was and like Weems was so good that like he would kick me some on top of my page, paying me per page. He'd kick me royalties too, which made me stay with him for a long time, until he couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
I'm sorry, Omar. He said, I was just saying, great pick, Witchblade. Also, Armored Scale was fantastic. All right, sorry about that, Omar. He's clarifying that he was saying, thank you for picking Witchblade.
Ah, okay. You're welcome. Which Omar is this? What's his last name?
Omar Glitch.
I don't know Omar Glitch.
He comes in quite a bit. He's he's a regular at this point. So
okay.
Thank you, sir, for being so. Always glad to have you.
Exactly.
And you also even worked for Chris Bacalo, right?
Yeah, I went to Chris and I when I first moved to California. We were at high school together, and he and his friend Robert, they would do their own comic books, and they knew I was a fan, so they invited me to do some books with them. In fact, I don't have them like readily available, but I have our Xeroxes of the books that we used to sell at the student.
So this is way before you got picked up at Marvel, right? To do Generation X.
Yeah. Before that, yeah, he worked on. Before he did Marvel, he got hired by DC. So I penciled some stuff for him to help him out. Like I think it was on the Shade the Changing Man that he did. And then I would, when they did with the American Scream, like he needed some weird backgrounds. So I'd make Xeroxes of different objects and people. There's like our girlfriends were in it. I was in it. Just weird like Beatles pictures and stuff, like anything I could think of that was in the back. I'd basically give me the boards and I'd just glue them on there for him. And then he'd send it off to, I think, Mark Pennington at the time, and Pennington would ink it. So, yeah. So I did that for a little bit.
I wasn't aware that he got hired at DC first, because the first, obviously, big thing that everybody was talking about was Generation X.
Yeah.
And, he was all over the place when that book was, launching. What did he do at DC?
Shade the Changing Man. God, what else did he do? It's such a long time, Will, that I kind of forget sometimes.
Didn't he do some Sandman?
Sandman stuff? I think he filled in on Sandman a couple issues, and then I want to say he did I wasn't helping him at the time. After that was, I think he did the Death miniseries, or at least I know he did the covers for him.
Right.
Hey, Herman. And then
what up, DJ? Welcome this evening, sir.
Then I wasn't really hanging out with Chris once he made it to Marvel. That's
Did he move to New York, or was he doing that all from the West Coast?
No, he was still doing everything from the West Coast. Yeah.
Because he kind of came into Marvel right after right after the recovery from all the, the evacuation of their top talent, to Image. And they were kind of in that recovery phase afterwards, where they're trying to, get back some young talent that wasn't being sucked up by Image.
Yeah, I think it was
Joe Mad was there too.
Yeah, the late 80s was the DC stuff, maybe to the early 90s, but then like the early 90s and on, he was doing he was doing the stuff for Marvel. And so I think what helped him
got pulled in the Image vortex, did he?
I don't remember him doing anything unless he did like the odd cover here and there.
Actually, go ahead, Mark. What were you going to say? Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I just said that I think that he, like, if he did anything from Image, I really can't remember if he did, but if he did, maybe some pinups or maybe a cover. I mean, somebody in the chat might know. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Like I said, we kind of drifted a little bit, and we didn't hang out as much as we used to. But it was kind of cool. Like, he was a high school guy. I got to, not directly, but I got to help him on that. And then the friend that was the writer of the group, I actually worked on him for Liar Comics, which is an image, an image title called what was it? The Witchfinder. So many witch books out there. The Witcher, Witchblade, and I did, yeah, and it was, the Witchfinder General, basically. So he wrote about that for them, and Romano Molinar did the pencils for that, and I was the inker. I followed Romano around for a little bit. I did Untold Tales of Lady Death with him. What else did we do? We did a video game of I can't remember. It's a vampire character that would kill German Nazis. Damn, I can't.
Blood Rain, was it?
Blood Rain. Thank you.
It was Blood Rain. Yes.
Yeah, it was Blood Rain.
Made into a classic film by one Uwe Boll.
Yes.
During that period of many great Uwe Boll masterpieces.
Yeah, he turned them out, didn't he?
Oh yeah, from the early aughts, it was like 10 he made.
Yeah. Do him cheap, do him fast, right?
With Ray Liotta as the evil wizard in The Name of the King, the most miscast, person ever. Ever since I was a little boy, I always wanted to be a wizard.
You can be, Harry. You can be a wizard.
And Jason Statham as the farmer, remember? He was like the good farmer, and it's like the most miscast movie you've ever seen.
Yeah. I only saw that once, and I was like, ooh.
They're fun. They're
yeah,
fun.
I mean, they are
early off indulgence, put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think. I did some covers for Romano. What else did we do? I think the bulk of my work over him was on the Liar Comics, and probably the biggest, most printing probably was, like I said, the Untold Tales of Lady Death. That was pretty fun to do. Yeah, and then from there, I just branched out and inked a few different things. I worked over Steve Furco, a great colorist at Top Cow. He did some penciling for Image. I was able to do some stuff over him.
Furco.
And then after I moved from the Huntington Beach area, more inland, I moved to Yorba Linda, down the street from the Nixon Library, in fact. I was getting work from Danny. I was part of the Crime Lab Studios.
What year are we talking now?
Bankers. I'd probably say I left. I was still doing stuff for Joe, but the drive was just killer, and sometimes he wasn't ready for me. And my kid was, so I would say it was like 2002, 2003.
Pixel Trader.
Hey, Pixel Trader.
And by the way, when you get a minute, GJ would like to know, do you have any work on hand you can show us when you're done with your story?
I got plenty of inking stuff I can grab. I still have a lot of that stuff.
But what year was this? Is this when Danny was still at Extreme?
Yeah, so it's no, Danny, I think, was just starting out for doing stuff with I'd say it was 2004, 2005. So I think he was
way after the Extreme days.
Yeah, so he was. I can't remember. Did Danny go to DC? He went to Marvel after Extreme, right?
I think so.
Well,
I thought he retired a little bit too. I think he got married, and I think he retired for a bit, didn't he?
well, I remember
Because
he married Shannon, and then maybe he
She
was
used to make
doing
fun of me.
illustration work.
They,
Did he?
she used to make fun of me because she was the receptionist at Extreme, and I would call
Oh,
Frega
that's
as like a 12-year-old incessantly, and she thought that was really funny that I was just like bombarding Frega with phone calls all day long.
She's a really nice person. I like her.
She was very nice, but
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh, it's that kid again," bothering you.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I was going to ask you, because I heard you talking with was it Weldon?
Yeah.
You guys were talking about the different studios. When you went to the studios, were you in Orange County, or were you still like in LA, living in LA County?
No,
Like I was.
I lived in Venice, and my mother was kind enough when I got the internship to drive me there and back and there and back.
Wow.
3 times a week. That's how great my mom was.
At least Venice is a little closer than downtown.
It's 45 minutes, but she would drive me, drive back home, pick me up at 6 o'clock at night, then drive back.
Wow.
Your poor mother.
Okay.
Okay. And you wonder why I take care of her in her senility.
Yeah, you better. You better.
Moms, it's great. When
I was 12 and I'd had the gumption to go get the job, and she was proud of me,
That's great, dude. Like, wow, that's awesome. 12.
That's awesome. Because it was in those days where you could get somewhere in this business by just having no shame in your game and being confident. Yeah. Now it's like you can't get anywhere near that. It's so, it's so blocked off. Because it's so corporatized. But back then, it was still a cottage industry that you could actually go to a convention and talk to Jim Lee if you wanted to, and you'd have to wait in some he wasn't like the president or something.
Right? Yeah, that's true. That's when I first. That's one of the things too. When I first started with Weems, Top Cow was in Santa Monica.
Yeah, they were down that hallway in that little building on the.
Yeah, that's where I worked when I worked
walked down that hallway and I peeked in as a little kid. I knew where they were. I was stalking them too.
Nice.
Because it was in that hallway that it was innocuous. It was like a plastic surgeon and a dentist, and it passed through the promenade into the alley and to the parking structures.
Yep.
And the door to Top Cow was innocuous. It just looked like a bathroom door to get into their office. Remember, it was like fog glass, and it was just one of those 80s white barred doors. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
It was fog glass with like a white outline with just a white bar for a door. I think we lost Marco. I think he froze up.
Oh no, we lost the Marco.
I thought he was just standing really still or sitting really still.
I got the blue screen death trying to reboot. Okay.
Indeed, Pixel Trader. My mom was great, and Omar says the same. That is why, guys, I take care of her with her unfortunate condition, because she was a wonderful, wonderful mother.
Yeah. Drove your ass everywhere.
Pixel Trader says Jim's way shorter than I thought he'd be for some reason. Must I state the obvious about that? What up, Matt LaRock? Welcome, buddy. We got Marco here tonight, but he got frozen out.
He's on his way back in. You'll have to pop him back in when he comes in. Will
I don't see him.
Here, I'm gonna jump back and look.
I'm liking the way this Witchblade is turning out, though.
Yeah, it's coming along. Let's see. He's here. Wait, no,
I don't see him. Yeah, I don't see him down here in the back room.
He'll come back. He'll come back.
Yeah,
so he's probably rebooting everything right now. So when he pops,
I want to see Marco's work.
Yeah, of course.
And speaking of Marco's work, he is part of the creative team on Meathead, so he will be doing the lettering and whatever else J.Crager needs him for, but lettering mainly on the book.
Yeah, lettering and coloring.
And coloring.
He's gonna be coloring some stuff. So I'm gonna be kind of overseeing everything. So I'll have my hands on a lot of it.
And while we're waiting for Marco to come back, we've got something exciting, happening. Our Edge Punk magazine is coming together, being shepherded and owned and ruled over by one Tokume, Seth. You've seen him in the chat. We're about to launch this, I think, next month?
Yeah. Sometime next month, you guys are going to be able to get the digital magazine that comes on its own UPS drive, and literally you just plug it into your computer and check shit out, and it's a multimedia experience. So it has comic books, it has stories, it has ads, it has a marketplace, it has so much stuff, and I'm not sure how much it's going to cost. I think it's somewhere around $20. And they're already printed up. We're just getting everything ready to go so that we can launch it all for all of you guys.
So this is the actual magazine on a USB card and my daughter unfortunately ripped off the little sticker here. It's seamless, and it pops open, and there's a USB drive on it to go into your computer. But this is the Edge Punk card, kind of a retro 90s cyberpunk bit of tech. So
yeah.
On Friday, aren't we doing a Red Valkyrie stream?
He was talking about a Red Valkyrie stream. I don't know if I'm going to be available or not, but it's possible I will.
So yeah, take a look out for Red Valkyrie, where they are going to. Yes, Pixel Trader. That is exactly what Piper was showing off. And they come in a cool little blister pack. It's quite a nice product. And Crager is doing a lot of art for it. He's got 3 reviews, comic reviews. I've got about an 8,000 word short story in there. And then, you've got contributions from Shay, Sai, Hockey. List goes on and on.
Yep. Free previews of comic books, free. Like it's worth it. I tell you.
That's very kind of you, GJ. If I haven't mentioned this before, I want to say thanks, guys, for working hard and providing what comics are all about.
Thank you so much. We try our best. Did we get Marco back yet?
He's right there. What were we talking about when you got frozen, Marco?
I think we were talking about Danny, and then I asked you about like how if you were in Orange County and you talked about your mom shuttling you, which is super cool.
I gotta say, you gotta when you're 12 and those are your rock stars and you get to be invited to just be an intern. I mean, it's one of those situations where you kind of got what you wanted and your bucket list is fulfilled, and you're like, okay, well, if I don't grow up, great, because I already did what I wanted to do, which is be around all this stuff.
Right.
They give you comps and stuff?
Oh yeah, well, that too, but mostly Matt Hawkins gave me a ton of stuff because he had he was the marketing director at Extreme, so he was going to clean my office and organize all these damn books, and whatever doubles I've got you can keep. And I found some cool stuff. I found like gold plated stuff, all kinds of stuff. I walked out of there with a stack of books. I think I had every Extreme book and the retailer exclusive, the ones like the gold plated ones that they would always sell.
Yeah, I remember those.
I got the Extreme Tour book gold plated, and I just walked around the studio and made everybody sign it.
That's rad.
Yeah. It's funny how I was just gonna say it's funny how Hawkins went from Extreme to Top Cow, and he's been at Top Cow ever since.
I mean, he's pretty much a one-man show over there, isn't he? I mean, Mark doesn't really do anything day to day anymore, right?
No, correct. Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay, when you got the job for doing the darkness stuff, was that Renee or was it Sonia? I couldn't remember.
It was Renee.
Oh,
it was Renee. Okay.
By the way, Marco, that's exactly what I was talking about. Pixel says you were talking about walking past the innocuous door, and I was talking about how the Top Cow office was tucked into that hallway that led off the 3rd Street Promenade into the alley, into the parking structure. And it looked like a bathroom door.
Right. Yeah, it did. It did. And that's what I was going to say was when I first started working with Weems, I was working in West Los Angeles doing hardware software testing lab. I was basically one of the librarians for the hardware and the software that the testers were using. So I hooked up with Weems. I was still working, and then every once in a while he'd call me like at work and say, "Hey, I've got some pages after work. Can you stop by, and pick them up for me and bring them to the studio?" So I would do that. And I was like, how you were saying you're an intern and, you're like gods and stuff. Like when I went there, I was like 30, late 20s, early 30s. And like just going in there, I was like, oh man, Matt Banning, holy crap, Matt! Like I know who you are. So it was cool. So yeah, I'm still a geek, dude.
I opened the door and looked in because I knew the offices were in there. So I just opened it and like looked around. Nobody saw me, but I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Top Cow is behind this door." Because I had the address and I was like map questing it, trying to figure out where it was.
Yeah.
You made it. You made it to Top Cow, Baba.
I should have walked in the door.
You should have. A couple of times, Joan. Go ahead.
I should say, you guys need an office clean.
A couple of times, Weems and I we'd sat up there a few times to work, which was cool. But we did more talking than working. So that's when Joe's like, "Yeah, I'll just work at Huntington," which was fine. We used to get a lot of stuff done, especially like end of a deadline when it would get crazy. Jay remembers those days.
Oh God, yeah, we'd stay up for days just working. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, so I remember picking him stuff up, and then he got enough work where he's like, "Hey, I got a lot of work. Do you just want to do this full time with me?" And I'm like, travel from Huntington Beach to West Los Angeles or do comics full time? Yeah, I'm in, buddy. So
I should have walked in that door because I was going to high school down the street at Santa Monica High School. I should have banged on that door and said, "Hey man, mind if I work for you guys after school?"
Yeah, you should have said I was an intern with Rob. Do you have anything like that here? I'm sure you were still.
I think they would have probably hooked me up with a job.
They probably would have. Production or something,
Something.
That was a fun studio.
I got distracted with girls at the time, and
yeah, that happens. I can do it.
I put comics on hold, unfortunately.
Comics on hold.
Yeah, when I was asking Weldon what office he was in, I remember he was saying it was the ones in the building near Anaheim Stadium.
I remember those.
The one I went to with Weems was the one off of Baston, Cherry, and Fullerton. That's where I first met Fraga. I remember like we brought stuff in. It was a Hulk. It was a Hulk splash that Weems inked over Rob. And every time I saw the Avengers movie, when there was a shot of the Hulk, I'm like, oh, they got that idea for the spread from that splash that Rob did that Weems inked over. It was bitching. It was pretty cool. I just remember Rob going, "Dan, get in here and bring your eraser." It was like a lot of that. So I was like, "Ooh, it's just erasing his stuff." Okay. But then I got to know Dan. That was cool. Another perk of hanging
So I
out
guess
with everybody.
it's a good way to ask you of all of the image guys, because you're probably biased, but all of the image founders, everybody has their favorite. I know who Crager's favorite is. It's kind of I think it's probably Eric Larson at the top.
I like
Mark.
Eric Larson. I do.
Eric and Mark, or is it Mark and Eric? Which one? What's the hierarchy?
It's probably Mark and Eric for me. So
Mark on top.
Yeah, Mark on top. Mark was always the best. So yeah, Mark hands down.
I'm going to say something blasphemous. I'm a Top Cow guy. For me, it was Jim, Eric, and then Mark. But
Jim, Eric, and then Mark.
Yeah, when I worked at Top Cow, my favorite artist there was Benitez. Just, I don't know.
Me too. I love Benitez. Like when he was on here with us, that was a big deal for me.
His face, like, I still remember, like, one of the Darkness issues. Don't ask me what number it was because I don't remember. But there's like a Club Rubber type of like party going on. It was this double page spread full of all these interesting characters in it, and everybody was different. Every single face, every figure was different. Everybody wore different things. It was so good. And I thought Joe and Joe together, like Weems inking over Benitez, man, that was like, chef's kiss, man. That was for me. And that's just for my personal,
to draw like a bad girl book. I mean, he's the ideal guy for that kind of thing. I mean, he's as good as.
Yeah.
I think he's better than Mike Turner was at drawing women.
I agree. Mike had a formula to him, which was kind of appealing. This is something Jay and I always used to talk about, but if you flip through a Fathom, and I'm like, dude still, pencils better than I do now, or did. He had a formula to him, like, after inking them for a while, like, you notice, like, he'd have the same shorthand, like, Witchblade's hair had these 3 like waves to it. Like whenever he'd show it, it'd be the same thing. So it was like he was just drawing it from memory. Whereas every time Benitez would draw something, the hair was like never the same. It was like flowing and moving. I mean, Darkness, Jackie's hair was like long, but it always had a character to it. And then Weems would like put that line weight into it, and it was just great. It's just fantastic. Those are my favorites. So.
I didn't know. I mean, I'm insane because, like I said, I'm not in the scene. But when we had Joe on, I didn't know he did Lady Mechanica, and I went and got a couple of them and looked at them, and I'm like, holy!
Those are great.
He's still, getting better and better and better as he's getting older.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say, like, that was the Top Cow was the female studio in terms of artists drawing the female form.
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
it truly was. Like it was like watching like Renaissance painters because there's all these beautiful women being drawn in perfect form.
Yeah, it's why they hired my ass. You guys can tell.
Well, and what I like about Crager's stuff is that he draws beautiful close-ups of people. Like if you look at Jabbo in Death 2, like all those close-ups in there, his close-ups are just getting better and better. And that's the best thing about Jabbo in Death 2 is his close-ups of people's faces.
Yeah, I like it. That's
why I wrote a lot of close-ups in Meathead. I'm like, give me some of that.
I like that. I'm going to incorporate that. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Lots of emotion.
So you listed the top 3. Who are the bottom 3 in what order?
Oh fuck! Fuck Rob Liefeld.
Spot, dude. Yeah, I guess because I'm a little older than you, like that, like Rob came out, and I think you guys talked about it, like when Weldon was on. He seemed to be the artist that like everybody said, I can do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't as complex. I'd say, like, I'm burying myself by saying this.
Actually, we were talking about this the other day, me and Crager, and I said, is it because he's like the Ron Jeremy of comics? You know, everyone looked at this ugly guy, you know, having relations with all these beautiful women. So I could be that guy.
Yeah, I think so. Like, my favorite stuff that Rob did when he first came onto the scene with DC was Hawk and Dove.
Yeah,
because he had Carl Kesselink on that.
Great covers.
Yeah, I mean, but I really liked that. Like, it was really good. And then I don't know, like the Image stuff was okay, but it just like it was a job at that point. Do you know what I mean? Like, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know. We all have our favorites, but
it's funny.
Let's put it this way.
Favorites. Nobody mentions Jeff Matsuda, as Pixel Trader said.
Jeff's stuff was really cool. I did enjoy Jeff's stuff.
He was one of the extreme guys who basically said, "I'm gonna draw as much as I can and buy a house."
Yeah,
he did.
No, yeah. Jeff, what's he doing now?
Probably got $1 million in real estate in Yorba Linda. You know what I mean?
Probably. Was he in this area? Was he really? Like, did he live near Rob?
I mean, he was getting a lot of work because he was fast, and that's when Rob was paying a lot, and he was just putting all that money towards the house. You know, like at what 19, 20, whatever he was at the time, 21.
Danny got a nice house in Chino Hills from all his Extreme money. You know.
Yeah, I mean, because he was the inker workhorse of Extreme.
Yeah,
and he was fast too, Danny.
God, I remember one of the things we did for Extreme was it Extreme?
I don't know.
What was the other name of the studios that Rob had?
Maximum.
It was Maximum after Extreme.
Yeah, it was concurrent with Extreme while he was on his way out from Image, and so he created that an exit, and then that tanked, and he went to Awesome.
Okay, because what happened was we got to do it was supposed to be Captain America.
Okay, yeah. Now we're talking Awesome. It was Fighting American.
Yeah, and then it got turned into Fighting American. We had to do some change. Yeah,
remember? And then then Marvel jumped all over him for that, and then he said, "Oh, well, I'm not doing that. I've got the rights now to do Fighting American." You know, Jack Kirby and who's the other guy who owned it? Who was another gentleman? It's not
Siegel.
Siegel. Is it Siegel? It was a Kirby. It was him and someone else. Yeah.
I can't remember. Will. Yeah. So,
but he kind of slipped into the rights for that and said, "Okay, fine. You guys win. I'm gonna do it Fighting American," and that was a whole other shitstorm after that.
Yeah. So I think Joe and I worked over Platt, right? I was over Stephen Platt. I did backgrounds and stuff for that. That was fun. Stephen was different. Like that was kind of cool, but
is it Joe Simon? Is that Pixel
I think it might have been. I think it might have been Joe Simon. Yeah, I think we're thinking of the Superman guys, but yeah, I think it was Joe Simon. Good call, Pixel Trader.
Thank you, sir.
But yeah, Matsuda, like bringing him up, I gotta bust my Matsuda out. Like I kind of forgot about him. It's really weird.
Because I love the art and I love Kaboom too.
Yeah, Kaboom was good.
A lot of those Extreme guys didn't stay in the industry. Most of them didn't. They all went to animation and music videos and movies. Like particularly that studio went off into other entertainment venues.
Like another guy that I kind of liked, but didn't seem like he only had a cup of coffee was was his chap Yap? Was that how you said his name?
Yeah, he did a cover for us.
Oh, really? Nice.
No, was it? Yeah, was it Chap? Yeah, it was Chap Yep. But Chap Yep was great. He was one of those guys who had kind of a quantum leap at Extreme, where he started off kind of conventional. And then he had that big, like it was very McFarlane-y, his little quantum leap he made. I don't know if you guys remember where his art totally changed and became hyper detailed and dynamic. And it went from this kind of weird blocky art. Do you remember when he started out? It was really weird.
I do. Yeah.
It took a right turn to something totally different.
Yeah, something clicks and then he just goes with it. Yeah, like so, and I think, like you said, he like had storyboards or some other kind of art, I believe.
Mm-hmm. They all did. Like Extreme guys all went off to do stuff in other media.
And I think it's kind of like what you guys were talking about on that one episode, where it seemed like Rob gave the guys a bunch of busy work so that they wouldn't go work for anybody else, kind of,
right.
you know.
And he even tried to snatch. A Turner from Mark for a minute there.
Wow.
You know, that kind of led to a lot of the impetus to
attention.
Chuck him out. You know.
Yeah.
I think Mark was like, "What are you doing, dude?"
It's a shame that real life got involved in some of that stuff.
I want to go back to a minute ago where you said you were maybe burying yourself. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that, like, I guess out of all the image founders, I'd say, like, I don't know, Rob kind of wasn't, like, I liked when he had Alan Moore, right, for Supreme and stuff. I like that. But he just wasn't my favorite. And I think it's because, I don't know. Like, I saw, like, where his artwork went, and, like, he was kind of in the studio of, I remember Hawkins used to say this to us too, why don't you use more splatter? Why don't you do that? And Weems and I would push back because sometimes, you know, we'd go less is more sometimes. You don't need, like, you know, you don't need it to be filled every single thing doesn't need to be filled. There's a
splatter
doesn't need to be
green thing, you know, the splatter.
Yeah.
You know, the splat thing where it's all over the page, you know?
Yeah, and we kind of were kind of contra that a little bit, you know. We put stuff where we needed it to be, but if it was a quiet page, it called for quiet inking. You know, if it was action, explosion, you know, and then Joe would take out the dry brush or whatever, or splatter stuff, or have me cut Frisket for him or something. So
I'd say Top Cow was, if you were to use one word, elegant, whereas Extreme, and I worked there, all my friends were there. It's more like, you remember those packs of like boner pills you get at 7-Eleven? You remember?
Yeah.
That's basically Extreme Studios. I'm sorry to say, guys. It's like the boner
I gotcha. I gotcha. And it's like, you know, everybody has their own cup of tea and stuff, and it's what makes comics great, you know? Like, there's people that everybody loves. Yeah, Pixel Trader, that is true.
Did you guys
Splat was insane.
Of Splat stuff?
Pardon?
Did you have to touch anything at Splat stuff of his work?
What do you mean, touch up, like fix stuff?
Like what I mean is, like, did you actually look at it in its raw form and actually get a taste of what that would be like to ink?
Oh yeah, I mean, that was Fighting American was all Platt. So, and then it was fun, dude. Like, I enjoyed it. Like, there was like a lot to it, but he was at that time, like, Steven was pretty tight. So we just concentrated on what the line weight would be. Like, he basically spelled it out for us. And then there was something else that he did afterward. I can't remember.
Whole Saga?
Yeah, so that's right. Yeah.
It was the Top Cow, remember?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm glad I got a young guy remembering, because if I don't look at it, I kind of forget. You know what I mean?
There's something where me and Crager disagree. I happen to be a Platt fan, and he's not partial to Platt. And there was a lot of meathead Platt stuff that I would write for him and say I want it to look like this page in Profit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Even our poster that we're selling or giving away with the sign up is like the Profit number 5 cover. It's a facsimile that Shelby Robertson's doing. You saw it when Shelby was on. He was doing a facsimile of it.
Yeah, so, I did.
I'm very partial to that stuff.
I like, out of the Extreme guys, like I said, I like Platt. I like Jeff.
Like, and I like, you know what, even though Pixel Trader doesn't seem to like him, I like Todd Knock. I really liked his little cartoony style.
Yeah. He's shaped up to be pretty good right now.
Yeah.
Like, I stepped away from comics, like I said, for about 10 years. In fact, one of the funny things about Rob was when I was living in Yorba Linda, he rented the house next door to me, and I got to talking to him because the kids were playing with my daughter. You know, they're about the same age. And he asked me, Marat would come over and I'd talk to them. I'd regret not asking him to see the George Perez Justice League Avengers pages, the stuff that wasn't published, that they didn't do the book. I really wanted to see that. But he asked me if I wanted to ink something, and I'm like, nah. And that was a point, too, where I was out of comics. I think I was a little hard on myself because I wasn't getting work, so I was trying to do something else. You know, instead of just putting your head down and working, I got to this point where I'm like, oh, my shit sucks. Nobody's asking me to do stuff, but I probably should have, worked a little bit harder. Hindsight's 2020, you know what I mean? But
yeah, like kind of inserted yourself more and been more assertive.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. I should have been more assertive. Yeah, I should have been, bugging people, like, because, the squeaky wheel, as they said, or hinge gets the oil, right? So I should have been a little bit more. Yeah. So.
Oh, he's got some pages. He's got Jeff Page's Pixel Trader he bought from Art Thibert.
Oh, nice.
I used to call Thibert when I was like 12. I was like, is his name Art Thibert?
Yeah, because you don't know. You're 12 years old.
Yeah, it's like T-Bear, dude. I'm like, that doesn't say T-Bear. It says Thibert. It's like, it's not Sade. It's Sadie. And then Team Youngblood. Yep, that was it. And he did level up. Yeah. And you know what? That's an interesting little deep cut there, Pixel Trader. I wasn't really a collector until I picked up Bloodstrike 1. I wound up collecting so many image books back in the day. And that was Frega's first book.
Yeah.
Full-length book after Youngblood 0, his little piece in there. So
I remember when, so the first stuff I helped Joe out was the Harris stuff after Jason left, because Jason was his original assistant, and then I took the job and I didn't give it up until, it just got, I couldn't make ends meet, and plus it was cool, like when I was in the same town as him, because I could do stuff, because Joe was more of a night owl, but then when I got my family, I couldn't do that anymore. So, show us some of your work, Madman. Yes, I see you, Herman.
Yeah. Plus, your mom got sick during that time, bud.
Yeah, my mom got like cancer and was at hospice at home, and that's when I was inking. I was inking for Devil's Due, and I was doing the Dungeons and Dragons series, Drist.
Was Devil's Due the crossover, the Top Cow crossover with Marvel?
No. This was just the like the Legend of Drist that I was doing at the time.
Okay.
It was the D&D, right? Legends of Drist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was doing that, and then that's too when they were having money problems. So I was inking at my mom's not doing too good. I'm staying in Irvine, inking on one of those TV tray things, and then I kept hearing they're not doing good. Like all my buddies they're not paying, and I noticed that. I'd ask them, could I have more pages to ink at the time, but they had 3 different inkers on there. And then when all those rumors were coming, and then my mom was getting sicker, I basically said, look guys, my mom's dying of cancer. Can you please pay me? Cause I can't work and I need the money. And basically look, dude, guys, this is my last days with my mom. Can you please pay me? And Marshall Dillon got, he was able to pay me, and then I got out. It was over Tim Seeley, and I really liked doing it because he was tight, his pencils were tight, so that all I'd have to worry about was line quality at the time, and so it was just given good weights and thin at the light and some textures, and it was really fun. I could do it rather quickly after inking stuff for Top Cow, which was a little bit more complex. But I actually got the money, and then a couple of months after that, they ended up going teats up. It's funny, a lot of the companies I worked for, Chaos, they went teats up. I was kind of hoping I'd get more more work from them, especially with the Untold Tales of Lady Death. That book came out, in my opinion, pretty good. And I kept waiting. I'm like, oh, give me some more. And I'd bug them a little bit, but they're like, no, we don't have anything. But they didn't have anything because they were in trouble too. Like, a lot of people were in trouble. So
everybody was. I mean, I remember Frege in that period, like digging in his couch for, like, they were just paying nothing in page rates. Yeah. And he was trying to go to Marvel. He did Wolverine over there, and it was just nothing nothing.
Yeah, I think Top Cow, because they were more like they got hit too, but it took them a little bit longer. I think it's because they weren't just superhero, like the traditional superhero, like
they found a great niche.
Yeah, like this kind of supernaturally type of stuff with Magdalena.
Yeah, Rob Liefeld said it best. It's the bad girl books that they did.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
The supernatural bad girl books.
Let me dig out a couple of portfolios and I'll show you some inking, because I got a piece Herman, our biggest fan of Hammer.
That's right.
With Marco.
What's that?
Like, because everybody wants to see.
Say that
stuff,
again.
So,
okay, let me grab some. Give me 1 second.
Yep. And Pixel Trader, that is a prestigious event. He said I had Frege sign it in the new Bloodstrike 1 cover he did, the Brutalist, when we met up in LA for the Kim Jong-gi event. So, wow, man, you had the privilege of seeing Master Kim, who's no longer with us.
Yeah, that bums me out.
And that meant a lot to Frege, because he leveled up a lot by studying Kim Jong-gi. And you see it in his current work, a lot of Kim Jong-gi.
He definitely loved that guy. That's for sure.
It's all over his work now. He can't get away from it.
He has some good stuff.
All right. Let's see. Here, I'll try to pull a few select out.
I think all my Kim Jong-gi art books have have remarks from him in there.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
Oh, that's, what? Like, I missed out on him because that's when I was kind of out of comics. But I got to know him through social media and stuff. And man, that guy was so good and so fast.
I didn't know who he was until Frege said, I'm going to tell you who your new favorite artist is. And he just started explaining him to me. So here we go.
So
let's see.
Can you? I'm trying to see. So this is okay. So this is stuff over Romano. This was I was still helping Weems, but I would do my I'd do a full book myself too. So that was pretty cool. Like, I always like working over Romano. You can kind of see I've got some Weems ink lines in there. Like, kind of learn my learn the trade. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Wow. And Pixel said, speaking of bad girl books, try as he might, Rob never got Evangeline to hit. And was that before or after the Witchblade stuff? And was Evangeline?
I want to say that was it. I want to say after, right?
Yeah, he was trying to, I think, do his own supernatural books, but I think Rob was just never good at subtlety, put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Here's some more Romano. This is kind of just so before page, I'd always throw lines down, but just to, I don't know, just to get an idea, It wasn't a superhero. It wasn't a superhero book, but it was pretty cool. You could see I'm like still top cow inking in it with the cross hatching, and
you better be careful because GJ is going to make an offer.
It's okay if for sale. The blacks too back then. It's when we had before all the air, like all the ecological stuff where we could have varnishes, so the inks would be really, really black. And they were great, and and you could I'll do one more witch finder page. It was a big face. And then I'll get some other stuff. So I don't know if can you see that, you guys?
Yep.
So you can see the top cow kind of inking in there still, because I'm fresh out of there. A lot of solid colors. Back then too, like all that white's paper, because I learned from Joe, don't use white out, because sometimes the line will get really soft. Even though Danny, yeah, so we would do that. Like if you look at the Fathom stuff, like all the rocks, like the underwater spaceships flying through the rock, like underwater, and it's like all rocks and it's black. Man, those things used to take me forever to spot, but I would basically do the negatives as I'm going. So yeah, but I really think that it, like nowadays I wouldn't care, but at that time we were really worried about which I'm kind of glad we did, that we really pushed what the original would look like in somebody's hand.
And Omer says so good, and GJ says phenomenal work.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. There's I don't have too much. I sold a lot of my Lady Death Untold Tales, but here's one I got. I forget what the guy's name is. So that's fun stuff. Smoking corpses and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll get somebody else out. Let's see what else I got.
That's a thick portfolio.
Yeah, it's all art. Here, let me and I did some stuff.
I haven't filled my first one yet.
Is it too glary? Yeah, it's too glary. So this was some of the stuff over Tim Seeley off of Exile, basically the story of Drist. So I was working on this stuff when my mom got sick, which it's a little bittersweet looking at it. But it was fun. It's fun stuff. Let me see. I'll try to get. Obviously, not every book was had a splash page, or I basically sold them because that's what people want. I always like this page. It's not too exciting, but it's got a bunch of dead.
Good night, Pixel Trader. Thank you for chatting us up. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. Good luck in your studying, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. So this Tim Seeley again. It's like a lot of dead bodies and stuff. A lot of the elves were killed by the orcs, I think. So like I said, like all this stuff is just negs, just negative work. Yeah, it was like really cool. It was like simple stuff. All I really had to worry about was line weights. Here, I'll try to get something different. Those are basically the same. If anything really jumps out. Oh, you know what I can show you is so I worked over Tyler Kirkham's first professional stuff that he did. It was
really?
this book called The Gift by I think Raven Gregory was the writer, and it was Raven Press. So here's a
wow.
Here's a splash page of their stuff.
That's probably worth
again whatever you see,
considering how popular he is now.
Yeah, I've moved some stuff. I've got my my rep. She reps me, so whenever I get a sale, she says, "Go ahead and send that out." Let me see. Oh, one of the first things I helped Weems on was I don't have it here, but it was Berserker that Dan did. Do you remember that book, Berserkers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I did. Here's some background stuff I helped with Weems. Weems was really cool too. Like he would throw me pages. So I did like the car and all the the pieces of wood and stuff, and I'd spot it for him. And then he did the main inking. This is from The Rook. This was Harris Comics. That Vampirella, that kind of stuff.
Are you done almost, Crager?
I'm working on it. Sorry, I was checking out. So when he said Raven Gregory, I hadn't heard that name in a long time. And I'm his friend on Facebook. So I hadn't seen anything in a long time, and I knew he'd had a hard time like a while ago. So I was wondering whether he was alive. And he is, from what I can tell.
Is. Is he in comics still, dude?
He's been every once in a while he does like comedy.
Really?
Yeah, he's a comedian.
Here's a piece I did over Jay.
Oh, let's see this one. Ooh, that is a nice one. Crager and his women. Yeah, I've actually seen this one. Is this one by your art rep? Are you guys selling this one?
Yeah.
Is it the Magdalena?
She might have posted it.
Yeah, the Maggie Vampy piece.
Yeah, and then I'll show you crazy one that we did over Benitez.
Of course, GJ would know. She's like, that's that piece.
So this is Magdalena.
Ooh, that's a nice building.
So there's some backgrounds, yeah, and then like we would use spatter, but when appropriate. So
some spatter, right there, but it's supposed to look like a textured concrete wall,
Correct. Yeah, correct. And then again, like all that white you see in the shirts or in the priest, even in the tech, that's all negged out.
So I'm hoping DJ will buy something off of the Meathead original art tiers when we launch the campaign.
Oh, he will. This is one in my portfolio, but I'm not selling it because it's the only good Benitez Benitez and Weems piece I have with Magdalena. Like this is like one of my favorites.
Ooh.
Plus all that background, all those books and stuff. Let me go. It's not a mirror, Marco. It's opposite. So
he has this way of drawing fabric. The sitting it looks like a statue. I don't know. It's hard to describe when he has people wearing clothes. Like
just the way that she's holding the bag and all the line weights at the bottom of that, like
they look like chess pieces.
Duffel. Yeah.
Oh, but down here, I love the blacks here on her clothing. It's beautiful, especially the bright white on that pauldron on her shoulder.
Yeah, you really know how to do it, and that's why this. I mean, everything's got a price, but it's going to take a lot to get this out of my hands. Look at that!
Just to get that bottom half, just to get that is beautiful.
Yeah, it's just so good. That's why, this is why those two guys were my favorite. I'm like, I guess I was part of it too because I helped out, but I
One
just
day I'll get
I
myself a Joe Benitez piece someday.
I love those guys. Oh, and then
GJ wants to know: is that Benitez, Weems, and you?
Yes.
So yep, and it has a lot of sentimental value probably as a result of that.
Yeah,
but
it does.
That last half of that page was beautiful.
And then here's a piece I did over. This was with Levisay. So John Levisay was Joe's roommate for a while, and I did a lot. This is over
as well.
This is what's that?
He's inking Art Jedi Josh's book, Amarok.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So this is over Francis Manipool, who is doing stuff for Marvel now. He's like higher up doing, I think, storyboards and stuff for Marvel. Here's a
nice.
Here's a solo Finch piece I did. This is one of the pages that Weems couldn't do because he was doing covers at the time.
Ooh.
So this was all me
on the art page.
Yeah. So and this was fun. It was cool. Like got to do that like really sharp nose there. It looks like almost like a Batman nose. So we got to have some fun, you know. And then the last, I'll show you one Furco piece that I did. This is what I used to do on Mortem Mortals. And then I'll show you my last inking job before I went and got a real job. But this was Steve that was hell of a colorist at Top Cow. I love doing that guy and those horns.
Furco.
He's doing video game stuff right now. You know, stuff that really pay the bills. So I worked over, this was kind of a little full circle. I was supposed to do a book called The Unforgiving. It was a European book based on a rock band. I forget, like a Dutch rock band. Romano was supposed to do it, but then he couldn't do it. So I ended up working over Martin Montiel, and this is Benitez's background guy that used to draw stuff for Joe.
Yeah, he does. He does all the backgrounds and stuff for
Mechanica.
So yeah, he's really, really talented.
So look, two assistants got together and did their own thing, you know. It was kind of cool. So that was the last like paying job I did. I've done some. I slowly got back. I did this Revolve, this Brazilian guy. I call him a kid, but this was a cover I did like a couple of years ago.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah,
that's got a kind of no shit because you did it. But I was gonna say it's got a Top Cowie line weight to it.
Yeah, it does. I mean, some things are hard to forget, you know.
Yeah, but that's why I said, I'm like, wait a minute, no shit. Marco did it, you know. So there you go.
And then, this is just something I did myself when I just trying to get back into drawing. I did this in 22. It ain't Jason, but it's Rom. So
it got a Kirby. There's a Kirby-ness to it.
Yeah, but this is me trying to work this shit out, trying to get better.
It reminds me of Nova, like a Nova cover or something.
Yeah. So that all that 70s stuff is in the wheelhouse. But so some of the other stuff I did with Danny, I worked on a book called The Crew over what's the guy's name? Joe Bennett.
Yeah.
What was the book Danny had that was a creator-owned book? It was something like Warpath, Warcry.
War Cry.
Yeah, War Cry. Yeah, I didn't work on that. The other thing with Danny, like it got to a point at the time when they didn't. So basically, when they didn't want to do FedEx for the inkers, FedExing the boards back and forth from the artists, we would just do Blue Line. And even though like a lot of people don't like Blue Line, I still say that that's the original that was printed. But like on this one, you can kind of still see the Blue Line on there. So this was, I got a chance to do Hulk, which is really cool. The one of the funner books I did, funner. The most fun book I did was Venom, and I got to ink this thing of Spider-Man, which was really cool. But the one and only time I got to ink Spidey, so I don't think I got it though in here. And then here's an action one. Here's one more action one, and then we can look at Jason's beautiful drawing. So this was from Untold Tales of Lady Death. And it's I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a big double page spread of her chopping broccoli, just killing all these.
You actually got some like cool stuff in your little treasure trove here.
I do. Yeah. So I think I was all right. I was an okay inker at the time.
I mean, if this was a post-apocalyptic scenario and we're taking booty, I'd probably take your Joe Benitez page. That's the battle.
I'll give you 5 gallons of fresh water.
So, if I vanquished, your tribe, I'd say, okay, that's the loot I'm taking.
Okay, I gotcha. So this is also Benitez and Weems and you. On which one, Herman?
He was talking about that beautiful piece we were talking about earlier that you said was sentimental, that you would let go, but see a price.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly. That was my 2 favorite Joes and me. That's coming out nice, Jay.
Thanks.
I'm loving her face.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or did Mike Turner never draw fingernails?
No, you're right. He didn't.
His hands were like always kind of claws, it seemed like.
Yeah. Or just like a finger with a little bump sticking out of it if it was like a side view. Yeah.
He was odd. Like I don't know. He did fine details, but some stuff he didn't.
Yeah, that guy owed me a piece because I gave him some of the artwork, some of the Fathom pieces back. And he goes, I'll draw you something. What do you want? And I think I wanted like a werewolf fighting one of my characters, and never got it. Wish I collected it. C'est la vie. Live and learn.
Yeah.
You remember that, Jay, right?
Yeah. Fathom?
I do.
Pardon?
What was that?
Were you owed any Fathom pieces for work on the book?
I got some, but I sold them. Like when I needed some money, I let them go. I think the last piece I did was from last year. I think you can find it. It was like an oil derrick piece I was really proud of because it was all negatives. I'll try to post it on X so you guys can see it. I might have done it already, but it's just this boring oil derrick where a helicopter's landing. But man, there's so much detail in it.
Yeah, it's a Mike Turner piece too, so it'd be in demand.
Yeah, and then all the highlights, it was just you'd neg it out. So like, yeah, it was crazy detailed, small. Even though it's like on an 11x17, there was like a lot of detail in there. So yeah, it was good times, man. Like looking back at the time when you're in the middle of the shit, like I kind of still don't like, Jason knows this, like I have a problem with my stuff, but now looking back on this old stuff, I'm like, I wish I relaxed more and like wasn't so hard on myself,
Yeah, and really were assertive with those opportunities that were in front of you, like
yeah,
able to
I should
cross
have been more.
videos.
I should have. You're right. I should have been a little bit more assertive, like you said. Just been in people's faces. You know, I think sometimes I'd go to a show, you know, and I'd always go with Weems, so I always, you know, I always like acquiesce to him, basically let him do all the talking and stuff. But
Right.
they
The way
were
I
good
see
times.
it was just money on the ground, right? That you weren't picking up.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
it was. But then too, like Joe taught, you know, he treated me really well. Like I said, he cut me every he gave me art, you know, like I'd get a page at least from a book, from each book we did that he got. He didn't have to do that. But, you know, he inspired loyalty with me, and I was his friend. Like we'd hang out when we weren't inking, like every Wednesday we'd go get comics, you know.
Right.
You know, go try to get back issues. Like when Invisibles was coming out, we'd miss an issue and then we'd all go dig for them. Yeah, it was good times. Like if I never worked with Joe, I would never probably have gotten to be buddies with Jason for as long as, you know, I've been. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, as long as me and Frega, essentially, you guys have been friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool. And it's cool that you and Dan are able to, you know, work together. So
I mean, I have a similar thing where, you know, in my hallway here, I have a framed that his Black Flag #1 piece, which is like a triple page spread. It's like his favorite piece of all time. I have it in the hallway here. So
that's great.
Oh, it's because you're his buddy.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it shows you, like, you know, I do have a couple of his most beloved pieces.
Right.
So, I mean, that one is one that I think is in his top 5 of all the stuff he's ever done. And, you know, I
awesome.
own it. I own it because he knows where it is at all times.
Yeah.
You know, he knows they'd never sell it or anything.
So I'm probably gonna wrap this piece up offline because
It's beautiful. I love her face. I really do love it.
Yeah, it's coming out good, dude.
Yeah, it came out okay. I think.
Who's that for?
I'm giving it to Airmon.
Okay.
So it's for his wife.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, his wife wanted a piece, and he's been like kind of not bugging me about it, but kind of like, hey man, I know I have to itch you up to do that piece. And I had just finished doing his, you know, other piece for The Witcher.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, just let me scribble this thing out for you and I'll send it out, and I'll send that piece for your wife too.
And look, Herman, there's video proof of it being created.
Exactly. So yeah, I did this for Airmon's wife.
Oh, so, thanks for the kind words.
My mom called me a couple of minutes ago, but those last pages that you showed Marco were excellent.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the kudos. Thank you. Thanks, buddy.
And he's loving what you're doing, Jason.
Well, I appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, I'm gonna finish the rest of it offline, but it'll be done tonight, or tomorrow morning at the latest. And I'm still waiting to hear from Tatiana, but yeah, I'll get this stuff out to you, man. So, and I hope your wife likes it. So I'm gonna flip this off and go back to here. Bam, bam. There we go. Where'd Marco go? There he is.
He's right here.
Okay. I just had to make sure.
All right.
Well, it was awesome hanging out with you guys. It was finally good to talk to Will.
Finally.
Yeah, it was super fun, man.
I mean, we talk on the chat, but like not, you know, mouth to mouth. I was going to say.
Not that familiar yet.
Are you sure? Jesus.
But you know what I mean, like voice to voice, not voice to the chat. You know, not voice to text.
tongue to your face.
I don't know. I got a mustache. He's got a beard. I don't know. There might be some friction.
I make sure to put a conditioner in my beard.
Nice.
Yeah. I use beard like balms and stuff. My beard smells like cocoa butter.
Mine smells like what's it called? Natural, whatever it's called, the one that they sell at Walmart.
Vagina.
Well, no, I was never. Never mind. I'm not going to get into the Laurence Olivier speech to Tony Curtis and Spartacus. Do you love, what does he say? Oysters or snails? I both love oysters and snails.
That's funny how they worded that stuff, but you knew what they were talking about.
In the 1950s, because they were like, it's go a little far, Stanley.
Good job. Nice. So yeah, I think this thing's going to turn out okay. I think Airmon's wife will be very happy, and yeah, this is all good. So
here we go.
That came out great, dude. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, for a scribble, it's coming out, so I think it came out nice. Yeah, so we're gonna wrap things up. It's 9:42, and
we had a good discussion. So I think that's a good place. It was a beefy, girthy discussion that you could wrap your arms around.
Yeah, it was really good. It was good, and it's always nice to have Marco on. I never get to see Marco enough, and of course, you're always welcome to come on whenever you want, Marco. And we're gonna end the show the way we began it, with a little bit of Peaches.
Good night, everyone.
And good night. See y'all later.
Take care.